Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Perth East Council, this 17th day of June. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If everyone could please bow their head for a moment of reflection. Thank you. Confirmation of the agenda. We do have one change, and I'll let Ashley tell you about that.
Thanks, Mayor. It's item number 11.1.1 should be removed from the bylaw section. It is still considered further up in the agenda under item 7.1.1, but the recommendation is just to receive in principle. So it just needs to be removed from 11.1.1.
Okay, so then we have a motion that the agenda as prepared for June 17th, 2025 meeting of Council of the Township of Perth East be approved as amended. Moved by Hugh, second by Jerry. All in favor? Carried. Okay, if you have pecuniary interest, you can disclose that now or as the meeting goes along. We have 15 items under our consent agenda. Is there any item anyone would like pulled or questions? Nope. Okay. And we have a motion that 5.1 to 5.15 as set out on the consent agenda for June 17, 2025 regular meeting of council be received for information, and that the minutes of June 3rd, 2025 regular council meeting be adopted. We need a mover to seconder. Moved by Bob, second by Andrew. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we're down to presentations. We have no public presentations, no other presentations. We have no delegations. Under public meetings and hearings, we do have a public meeting. So I declare this public meeting to be open. This public meeting is being held to consider a proposed zoning bylaw amendment affecting property currently owned by Ron and Brenda Hyde, Plan 331, lots 21 and 22, Southeast Hope Ward, Shakespeare. This meeting is an opportunity for the township to advise the public of the purpose and the intent of the amendment and receive their input prior to considering adoption of an implementing bylaw. If a bylaw is adopted to implement the zoning amendment, a notice of passing will be forwarded by prepaid first-class mail to various agencies of interest and others who have requested notice. An appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal objecting to the adoption of the bylaw may be e-filed with the OLT e-file service no later than the date stated on the notice. Any person attending this meeting who wishes to receive written notice of a bylaw passed to implement the amendment is asked to give their name and mailing address to the clerk following this meeting. No written notice except as previously noted will be given unless requested in writing following the meeting. All persons attending this meeting will be given an opportunity to be heard or make a presentation. I will now call on our planner, Jeff Bannon, to present the planning report and recommendations. So welcome, Jeff.
Thank you.
And the floor is yours.
Thank you. Zelenka Preamble Limited, on behalf of Ron and Brenda Hyde, have submitted an official plan amendment and zone change for the lands known as 2188, 2190, and 2192 William Shakespeare Street. The lands are subject to provisional consent that was approved in November of 2024. It's intended to result in 3 parcels of land with an easement for an existing sanitary service. Official plan amendment and zone change are required to facilitate the intended residential development. The lands have a total area of 1,654 square meters and a lot frontage of 51 meters on William Shakespeare Street. Applicant is proposing to redesignate serviced urban area commercial to a serviced urban area residential designation and to rezone the lands to a medium density zone with an allowance for a reduced side yard width of 1.2 meters. The proposed development is consistent with the policies of the provincial planning statement, as the development is considered to be an efficient use of land, resources, and infrastructure, and provides for a range of housing types in Shakespeare. Development of the subject lands contributes to the mix of land uses on a property that is separated from commercial activity, which is located on the higher order roads in Shakespeare. The development will contribute to meeting the needs of the current and future residents in the area of the lands that will be serviced. The intent of the county official plan supports the proposed development as it provides for a compact form of non-farm related development. Proposed redesignation allows for the development of single detached dwellings within the serviced urban area that will be connected to municipal services and provides for an infill development on vacant parcels of land. The applicant is working with the Township of Perth East staff on the completion of a water main extension agreement that will satisfy the consent approval condition that requires servicing of those 3 residential properties. The lot sizes will be compatible with the character of the surrounding residential area, the residential properties to the east and south of the subject lands. Rezoning application proposes to rezone the lands to a residential medium density R2-15 zone, which allows for a reduced minimum interior side yard width of 1.2 meters that allows for that compact residential development. The reduction will allow for adequate access to the rear yards of the properties, and the lands have frontage on a public street, and the proposed lots meet all other zoning bylaw requirements. The applicant has submitted an archaeological assessment in support of the application, which states that no archaeological resources were found on the subject lands and that no other archaeological assessment of the property is required. The noise feasibility study was completed. The recommendation of the noise study was that a noise warning clause should be included in agreements of purchase and sale that informs the future owners and occupants of the proximity to the commercial and retail units. The report also noted that building constructions meeting the minimum requirements of the Ontario Building Code are sufficient to provide acoustical insulation for the proposed buildings. So noise warning clauses are typically controlled through conditions in the subdivision agreement. Planning staff are suggesting that the applicant is required to provide a solicitor's undertaking that noise warning clauses will be included in the property and tenancy agreements and offers of purchase and sale for the dwelling units in accordance with the recommendations of the noise study prior to the zoning bylaw being passed by Township of Perth East Council. The applicant has also submitted documentation that the registration of a record of site condition for the subject lands. That record of site condition includes a certification from the qualified author that states that there's no evidence of contaminants in the soil. No comments or concerns have been received from the public or from public agencies, and planning staff have no concerns with the official plan amendment or the zoning amendments. The proposed amendments allow for the residential infill development with municipal services, and it's consistent with the provincial planning statement, conforms with the County of Perth official plan, and represents good planning. I'm available to answer any questions.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in opposition of the application? Seeing no one, is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation to speak in support of the application other than the applicant or the applicant's agent? Seeing no one, does the applicant's agent wish to make a presentation or speak to it? Like to come up to the desk?
Good evening, Chair and members of Council. My name is Laura Jameson. I am a planner with Zelenka Priamo Limited, the authorized agent on behalf of Ron and Brenda Hyde for this application. First and foremost, I'd just like to thank Jeff for his presentation. He did give a wonderful overview of what our intended application is and the work that we've put in to get the application to this point so far. I'd really just like to highlight that we are simply intending to change the designation and zoning on these lands to facilitate the development of just some single detached dwellings. The reduced interior side yard setback is intended to accommodate some more compact urban development than what you might typically have been found on lots that have private services, for example, in the town of Shakespeare. And finally, we are willing and able to provide a letter of intent from the client's lawyer to have those noise warning clauses included in any purchase and sale agreement. That is something that we would be doing regardless, but we're happy to provide a letter of intent as well. If there are any additional questions, I am also available to answer them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from members of council? Jerry?
Thanks through you, Mayor. Dr. Draper, Jeff or presenter here, but perhaps I don't want to put Public Works in the spot. Is there an opportunity here as an extension of the water main? Not sure if they're coming east or west, whichever. Is there an opportunity here for us to connect anyone else that's there that maybe we connected, that's all within our policy that we've got in place at that time when that happens?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Councillor Smith. So the agreement or draft agreement we've been working on, there includes a clause where anybody that will front that extension can connect to that water main. As part of the agreement, we've worked out at this point with Ron and his team there would be some money recovered by Ron, who's obviously made the upfront investment. So that there is an option there. It's going to run all the way from Byron to the intersection with, I believe it's Burns, or sorry, Milton Street rather. So that will provide an option for several to connect. I think I'll leave it at that, Jerry, for now. Yep.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, council will consider a resolution regarding the planning report recommendation following the conclusion of the public meeting. Bylaw 205-2024 to implement the approval of the zoning application will be considered later within the council agenda. The public meeting is now concluded and we will continue with the regular meeting of council. We do have a motion, and the motion reads that the Township of Perth East received the report dated June 17, 2025, entitled D14-Z05-2024-PE and OPA 234 submitted on behalf of Ron and Brenda Hyde affecting the lands described as lots 21 and 22, Plan 331, Southeast Hope Ward, Township of Perth East, municipally known as 2188, 2190, and 2192, Williams Shakespeare Street. And the Council of the Township of Perth East held a statutory public meeting pursuant to Section 34 of the Planning Act with respect to zoning bylaw amendment 205-2024, and the Township of Perth East Council approved in principle D14-Z05-2024-PE as recommended by staff, submitted on behalf of Ron and Brenda Hyde, affecting the lands described as lots 21 and 22, Plan 331, Southeast Hope Ward, Township of Perth East, municipally known as 2188, 2190, and 2192, William Shakespeare Street, and the Township of Perth East Council provide a recommendation to the Perth County Council that OPA 234 affecting the lands as described above be approved. We have a mover and a seconder for all that. Moved by Andrew, second by Bob. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Okay, now we're going to move on to public hearings. We do have, Committee of Adjustment under public hearings. Council will now temporarily adjourn to sit as Committee of Adjustment pursuant to Section 45 of the Planning Act. I now declare this public hearing open. This public hearing is being held to consider an application affecting property currently owned by Alan and Lorraine Wagler and described as Northeast Hope Concession 1, Lot 37, Part Lot 38, on road allowance, registered plan 44R 1503, reference plan R200829, Part 12, Northeast Hope Ward, 2284, line 34. The purpose of this hearing is to give the committee and the public an opportunity to hear all interested persons with respect to the proposed application and receive their input, and for the committee to make a decision on the application. All persons attending this hearing will be given an opportunity to be heard or make a presentation. Committee members may ask questions for the purposes of clarifying the application, but are asked to withhold comments on this application until all present have been given an opportunity to be heard. Any person who wishes to receive written notice of the decision made by the Committee of Adjustment is asked to email their name and mailing address to the Secretary Treasurer at this time. An appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal objecting to the decision made at this hearing may be e-filed via the OLT e-file service by the applicant, the municipality, the minister, or prescribed utility providers with the Secretary Treasurer no later than July 7, 2025. No written notice except as previously noted will be given unless requested at this time. I'll now call on our planner Jeff to present the planning report and recommendations. Jeff, please, floor is yours.
Thank you. Minor variance application MV 7 2025 was submitted by Alan and Lorraine Wagler for the property at 2884, line 34. Subject lands are approximately 3,200 square meters in area and are occupied with a single detached dwelling and accessory structures. Purpose of the application is to reduce interior side yard widths and to reduce the minimum distance separation 1 setback to allow for the construction of a single detached dwelling. Subject lands are designated agricultural and natural resource environment according to the official plan. The official plan policies in place regarding provincially significant wetlands and adjacent lands within 120 meters. The development and site alteration shall not be permitted within the wetland area and may be permitted within the adjacent area, provided that the development does not result in negative impacts on the natural features and ecological functions, and that an environmental impact study would need to be submitted in order to assess the impact of the development on the site alteration. The applicant has submitted an EIS that concludes that the proposal follows the recommendations that are being provided, that no adverse impacts should be expected. Interior side yard setback provisions are intended to ensure that appropriate site drainage and access to the rear yard for maintenance purposes are being provided, and the reduction in the MDS 1 setback will have no effect on the existing livestock barn, as there already are 2 existing dwellings closer to the residence being proposed for the reconstruction. Expansion of the barn is limited due to those existing residences. Section 45(2) of the Planning Act allows for the extension and expansion of a structure or use which was legally established prior to the date of passing of the applicable bylaw. This proposal seeks to permit an extension of the legal non-conforming use for the reconstruction of a single detached dwelling which currently exists on the lands. An environmental impact study has been submitted in support of the application, and the proposed single detached dwelling extends 2.96 meters closer to the environmental feature than the existing dwelling on the subject lands. As shown on the plan that was provided and submitted by the applicant, the proposed dwelling is located outside of the required 30-meter setback from the wetland, and the direction of the EIS considers other mitigation measures during the time of reconstruction that include tree and vegetation removal, erosion sediment control, and restoration and enhancement plans. It's the opinion of staff that the minor variance is appropriate and meets the requirements as outlined under the Planning Act. Proposal meets the requirements for the expansion of the legal non-conforming use. It's desirable for the appropriate development of the subject lands. It does not result in undue adverse impacts on the surrounding properties, and the proposed development will not be an increased risk to human health or well-being. No concerns have been received from the public or other agencies. The Upper Thames River Conservation Authority has requested that the location of the existing septic is shown to them prior to the completion of their permitting process, and we have advised the applicant of that. It is the opinion of the staff that the proposal is consistent with the official plan. Supporting documentation was provided for the reconstruction and conforms with the agricultural zoning, the zoning bylaw, and plain staff recommend approval of the application subject to the attached conditions. I'm available to answer questions.
Thanks, Jeff. Is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in opposition of the application? Seeing no one, is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in support of the application other than the applicant or the applicant's agent? Seeing no one, does the applicant or the applicant agent wish to make a presentation or speak with respect to the application? Seeing no one, are there any questions from committee members? Nope. The committee will now consider a motion regarding the application. And the motion we have is that the Township of Perth East Committee of Adjustment approve application file D13-A07-2025-PE submitted by Alan and Lorraine Wagler for lands described as Concession 1, Lot 37, Part Lot 38, Part Lot Road Allowance and Registered Plan 44R 1503, Reference Plan R200829, Part 12, municipally known as 2884, Line 34, as it relates to number 1, relief from section 6.3.3.2 to reduce the interior side yard width of the east lot line from 7.5 meters to 3.1 meters. Number 2, relief from 6.3.3.2 to reduce the interior side yard width of the west lot line from 7.5 meters to 1.8 meters. And the third one, to relieve from section 6.4.2 to reduce the minimum required MDS 1 setback from 345 meters to 340 meters to facilitate the construction of a single detached dwelling subject to the following conditions. And the first condition, that the applicant obtain the appropriate building permits within 2 years of the approved variance. And the second one is that the applicant complies with the recommendations of the environmental impact study as provided. I need a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Hugh, second by Jerry. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, now next application is a minor variance submitted by Cook Hill Farms Limited. So the public hearing is being held to consider an application affecting property currently owned by Cook Hill Farms Limited, Urban Cook, and described as Lot 9, or excuse me, Concession 9, Lot 25, Northeast Hope Ward, 4943108. The preamble is all the same as the last one, so I'm going to jump right down to Jeff. So Jeff, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So the minor variance application MV 8 2025 was submitted by Cook Hill Farms Limited for the property at 4943 Road 108. Subject lands are approximately 40.5 hectares in area, and they're occupied with single detached dwelling and accessory structures. Purpose of the application is to facilitate the construction of a residential dwelling. The request for relief is to reduce the minimum distance separation requirement from the neighboring manure storage at 2460 line 45 from 637 meters to 629 meters. The applicant is intending to demolish the existing dwelling once the proposed dwelling has been constructed. Subject lands are designated as agriculture and natural resource environment according to the official plan. The natural resource environment area is located at the northeast corner of the subject lands and is not impacted by the proposed development. Purpose of the MDS requirements are to minimize nuisance complaints associated with livestock and anaerobic digesters due to odor. Variances to those distances may be approved provided that they are minor in nature with no unacceptable adverse impacts provided and that the proposal mitigates environmental impacts associated with farming operations. The minor variance provides for the construction of a residential dwelling that will be located within the existing farm cluster. The applicant has noted that there isn't sufficient buildable area within the farm cluster for the residential dwelling. That doesn't involve the loss of farmland, which would result in a residential building being located in close proximity to the existing barn. Property is zoned as agricultural A zone and natural resources environment NRE2 in the zoning bylaw. Proposed location of the residential dwelling allows for the owner to reside in the existing dwelling while the new residence is being constructed. The Perth East zoning bylaw allows for 2 dwellings to be located on one parcel of land for a maximum of 6 months from the commencement of the construction, provided that the owner has entered into the required agreements. The applicant has stated that they will be demolishing the existing dwelling once the new dwelling has been constructed, and a condition requiring the demolition of the existing dwelling has been included with the staff recommendation. MDS guideline number 43 states that the requirements should not be reduced except in limited circumstances. The requested setback will allow for a new dwelling to be located within the existing farm cluster and prevents the loss of additional farmland. The proposed building location reduces health and safety impacts that would result if the new building was placed in close proximity to the existing barn. No comments or concerns have been received from the public. And following the completion of the report, GRCA have stated that they have no objections to the minor variance request. In our opinion, the application for the minor variance conforms with the official plan policies and maintains the general intent of the official plan and the zoning bylaw. The minor variance is minor and desirable for the use of the subject lands, and as a result, approval for the minor variance is being recommended. And again, I'm available to answer questions.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in opposition of the application? Seeing no one, is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in support of the application other than the applicant or the applicant's agent? Seeing no one, does the applicant or the applicant's agent wish to make a presentation or speak with respect to the application? Would you like to say anything, Mr. Cook? No? Okay. Are there any questions from committee members? No? Okay. The committee will now consider a motion regarding the application. The motion is the Township of Perth East Committee of Adjustment approve application D13-A08-2025-PE submitted by Cook Hill Farms Limited for lands described as Lot 25, Concession 9, Northeast Hill Ward, Township of Perth East, municipally known as 4943 Road 108, as it relates to number 1, relief from section 6.4 to reduce the minimum distance separation requirement to manure storage at 2460 line 45 from 637 meters to 629 meters, subject to the following condition. Number 1, that the owners obtain the necessary building permit within 2 years of the approval of the minor variance. And number 2, that confirmation be received from the Township of Perth East that the existing residential dwelling on the subject property has been removed within 6 months from the commencement of construction of the new residential dwellings. Moved by the seconder, moved by Hugh, second by Jerry. All in favor? Carried. Okay, and our last public hearing is application for a minor variance submitted by Gary Martin. So this public hearing is being held to consider an application affecting property currently owned by Gary Martin and described as Mornington Concession 7, South Part Lot 16, Mornington Ward, 4086, Perth line 72. The preamble is all the same, so we're going to jump right down to Jeff. So Jeff, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So the minor variance application MV9 2025 was submitted by Gary Martin on behalf of Gospel Echoes for the property at 4082 Perth line 72. Subject lands are approximately 4,500 meters in area and are currently vacant. The purpose of the application is to reduce the front yard depth and to allow for the construction of an accessory structure in that front yard. Variances allow for the construction of a proposed detached garage. Subject lands are designated village in the official plan and zone special hamlet village residential zone HVR-54. That special zone permits a single detached dwelling and associated accessory structures with a rear yard depth of 5 meters and a minimum lot frontage of 10 meters. Subject lands are a flag-shaped lot and the proposed residence is being located behind the commercial property. Planning staff are satisfied that the surrounding lot fabric and location of the dwelling result in the variances being considered to be minor in nature. Proposed form of development meets all other relevant provisions of the zone and is therefore not expected to negatively impact the surrounding land uses. No comments or concerns have been received from the public or other public agencies. In light of the foregoing, planning staff recommend the approval of the minor variance application. It's considered to be minor in nature, deemed to be desirable for the use of the land, and is consistent with the planning policies and objectives in the Planning Act as outlined in the conditions attached to the report, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in opposition of the application? Seeing no one, is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in support of the application other than the applicant or the applicant's agent? And seeing no one, does the applicant or the applicant agent wish to make a presentation or speak with respect to the application? No. And are there any questions from committee members? No. The committee will now consider a motion regarding the application. The motion is that the Council of the Township Perth East Committee of Adjustment approve application file D13-A09-2025-PE submitted by Gospel Echoes team for lands described as Concession 7, South Part Lot 16, Millbank, municipally known as 4082 Perth line 72, as it relates to number 1, relief from section 9.2.3 to reduce the front yard depth from 7.5 meters to 1.5 meters for a detached garage, and number 2, relief from section 5.1.3 to allow an accessory structure in the front yard subject to the following conditions. The first condition is that the minor variance only applies to the proposal for the detached garage as applied for, and number two, that the owner obtain the necessary building permit within 2 years of the approval of the minor variance. Be a move and a seconder, moved by Hugh, second by Andrew, all in favor, carried. I declare this public hearing closed. Okay, we're going to move to council reports, and the first one is under planning, and it's a application for part lot control submitted by Caden Keller Homes. Jeff, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So the part lot control application 02-2025 was submitted by Keating Keller Homes for the lands known as 137 and 139 Pew Street. Subject application is requesting approval to pass a bylaw that exempts the lands from part lot control provisions of the Planning Act. It exempted each unit of the single attached dwelling becomes separately conveyable. Applicant submitted a 2-lot plan for development showing the proposed development of semi-attached dwellings, and the parcels would be created through the part lot control being on plan 331, and the dwelling is currently under construction. The lands are designated as residential in the Milton official plan and zoned as medium density special zone R2-13. That special zone allows for an interior side yard setback of 1.2 meters for a 1-story semi-detached dwelling and 1.7 meters for a 2-story semi-detached dwelling. Removal of the part lot control to establish lot lines between units of a semi-detached dwelling is acceptable method of lot creation under the Planning Act. Once the exempting bylaw is approved, the surveyor's reference plan showing the lot lines is completed and registered in the Land Registry Office. Bylaws in effect for a period of 2 years, after which time the section 50(5) provisions of the Planning Act become reinstated. Staff are supportive of the proposed part lot control exemption and recommend that Perth East Council approve the application for the bylaw to the County of Perth for approval, and that the approved bylaw be provided to the Township of Perth East to be registered on title. And I'm available to answer any questions.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Any questions of the report? Andrew?
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I wonder, Planner Bannon, just part lot control, he's come in front of us often now with the semis. Is there any reason why there would not be a part lot control asked for in a semi, or just to keep it into the same ownership, I guess? Is that common, or is this more common?
Through the mayor, it's more common that a part lot control application comes back to council for a decision, because often they want to separately convey those parcels of land. If for whatever reason they wanted to rent out both sides of the semi-attached dwelling, they could keep the parcel under control of one owner, rent those 2 units out, but often it comes back as a part lot control application. The other means of separating that parcel would be through a consent process, but the consent process usually takes a little bit longer period of time. And it's usually reserved for applications that require additional conditions as part of that approval. So the part lot control application is a faster process that a lot of developers tend to implement to separate semi-attached dwellings that are already on a registered lot within a subdivision.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. I'm just wondering, I'm just asking, it seems this is pretty common now, and maybe when we do our review of the bylaws from the official plan, that maybe it can be delegated or something. It's not that it's wasting our time. It's all good to hear what's going on, but it seems to be kind of just matter of fact. So I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe it's something that could be delegated to.
Okay, any other questions? If not, we have a motion that Council of the Township of Perth East receive application D27-PLC 2-2025 PE submitted by Caden Keller Homes, care of Corey Zalowski, for the exemption of part lot control on lands described as part lot 23, plan 44M80, 137 to 139 Pew Street in the Township of Perth East for information, and that council approve application D27-PLC 2-2025-PE submitted by Caden Keller Homes, care of Corey Zalowski, for the exemption of part lot control on lands described as Lot 23, Plan 44M80, 137 to 139 Pew Street in the Township of Perth East, and forward the bylaw to the County of Perth for approval, and that the approval bylaw be provided to the Township of Perth East and be registered on title. Moved by Jerry, second by Hugh, all in favor? Carried. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Okay, next we're moving to the CAO. We have the Working for Workers Act, legislative and pending legislative changes, but you doing that, Jennifer? I believe Jennifer's going to. Okay, Jennifer, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mary Eggets. Several Working for Workers Acts have been legislated amending employment-related statutes, including the Employment Standards Act 2000, the Occupational Health and Safety Act, and the Workplace Safety and Insurance Act. This report outlines the various changes and their effective dates for Working for Workers Act 4 Act, Working for Workers 5 Act, and Working for Workers 6 Act. In May 2025, the Working for Workers 7 Act, or Bill 30, was introduced by the Ontario government, and it is currently progressing through the legislative process. There are many changes occurring between June 19th, 2025 and January 1st, 2026, with more to come once the Working for Workers 7 Act becomes law. The Township of Perth East is confident that we are and will be compliant with the upcoming changes as they come into effect. And I'd be happy to address any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, Andrew?
Thanks, Mary. It's I haven't got finished reading the strong mayor stuff yet. Now I got to read this. Way to go, government. Anyway, so is there any cost associated with these changes to the taxpayer township that you know of? That's going to be any changes up front? I know it's unpaid leave and that, so it shouldn't be other than you have to time spent to get replacements and that. But is there any cost that's been figured out yet?
Through Mayor Eggets to Councillor McAlpine, there are no costs upfront associated with it at this time.
Okay, any other questions? If not, we have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report prepared by the Manager of Human Resources dated June 17, 2025, entitled Working for Workers Act, Legislative and Pending Legislative Changes, HR-2025-002 for information. Moved by Bob, second by Hugh, all in favor? Thanks, Jennifer. Okay, we have no reports for clerk, no for finance. Under Public Works, we have tender results for asphalt paving. Words tonight. Anyway, Jake, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Mayor Eggets. This report covers tender results for asphalt. This includes the surface course paving for the reconstructions in Milverton. All of the streets are going to be done at once through this contract. Additionally, there's going to be a segment of line 61 between 121 and 116 paved under this contract. Actually a fairly competitive tender. We had 5 bids with Steed & Evans being the low. Recently, they were the ones to actually complete the base course paving on the reconstruction, so should be a fairly seamless job for them on that one. And it is within collectively the budgets for each of the projects. So if there are any questions, I will try and answer those.
Okay, thanks, Jake. Questions of the report? No questions? Then we have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report prepared by the Manager of Public Works dated June 17, 2025, entitled Tender Results, PW-2025-07, Asphalt Paving, PUB-2025-017, for information, and further that confirmed by this resolution, tender PW-2025-07, asphalt paving be awarded to Steed & Evans Limited for the contract value of $303,645, exclusive of HST. We have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Hugh, second by Jerry. All in favor? Carried. Okay, and the next report is the Drinking Water Quality Management Standard. Jake?
Thanks again, Mayor Eggets. This report covers a management review that we did internally related to the DWQMS. It's a legislative requirement to do this meeting each year. And we kind of look at all things water through a management lens, so to speak. A lot of the material, or some of the material rather, I highlighted in our report that came for the annual reports back in March. So I'll try not to spend too much time on this. A couple of things I just wanted to touch on. Well, for being one of them, we actually received the estimate today from BM Ross, so we're going to work to bring a report to council in the July meeting, hopefully with a path forward and a budget laid out for that. A second thing I wanted to touch on quickly, one of the things we looked at in this management review was staffing requirements. I guess recently with the report coming to council for the reserve capacity update, just looking ahead into the future a bit, at some point in time with the development coming, there will be a requirement for an additional operator. Thanks, Matthew. You timed that well. Just looking historically at the consumption, I thought it would be kind of interesting for council to see over the past 10 years, pretty significant increase since around 2020 in both systems. I think that's obviously associated with development. So as we continue to see that growth come, our systems expand, assets expand, and maintenance requirements alongside. So at some point, I just wanted to put it on the radar. We'll have to explore that. I think at this point, we're getting by. We do have our challenges, of course, but just putting it on the radar for council. Last update, I received an update on the Shakespeare Arsenic Project today. It's a little slow out of the gate here, but I have heard they are going to be starting the building construction in July. So any questions on the report, I will try and answer those.
Okay, thanks, Jake. Any questions of the report? Hugh?
I sent there an update on deviations from critical. It looks like they weren't met.
Thanks for the question. The critical control points are established for disinfection. There's one at the treatment site source, and there's also one in the distribution system. Basically, we're continually monitoring those critical control points to make sure they're not met, and that we were well above those points throughout the year. So no issues with disinfection.
Okay, any other questions? Not, we have a motion that Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report prepared by the Manager of Public Works dated June 17, 2025, entitled 2025 Drinking Water Quality Management Standard, DWQMS, Management Review, PUB-2025-018 for information, and further that Council receive the attached 2025 Management Review Meeting Minutes dated June 5th, 2025, and the Township of Perth East Drinking Water System Operational Plan dated June 3rd, 2025 for information. Moved by Bob, second by Andrew. All those in favor? Okay, where am I? No reports from the building department, no reports from the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services, no report from fire. We're down to correspondence. We have a letter from the Perth County Federation of Agriculture regarding the proposed residential development in the Township of Perth East. I'm going to receive this for information. Jerry? Yep. Okay, do we have a seconder? Andrew? So the Township of Perth East Council received the correspondence from Perth County Federation of Agriculture, PCFA, regarding the proposed residential development in the Township of Perth East for information. Moved by Jerry, second by Andrew. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we're down to council committee reports. There's no mayor's meeting log this month. Do we have any reports from any of the committees that everyone sits on? It's, I guess the twinning committee, we did meet, a week or two ago. We leave next Thursday, when we go, the 26th, so it's getting close, it's getting exciting, and I think we're all looking forward to it. I think the neatest part will be is that we get to stay in the homes of some of the people that live there and live their culture, so I'm really looking forward to that. So, yeah. Okay, so just a motion to receive the verbal report. Moved by Hugh, second by Jerry. All in favor? Carried. Okay, then we're down to first, second, third, and final readings. We just have the one bylaw, and that's bylaw 28-2025, being a bylaw to exempt part lot control on lot 23, plan 44M80, and that was 137 to 139 Pew Street in Milverton, and that was item 8.1.1 tonight on our agenda. So we need a motion to pass that. Moved by Hughes, second by Bob. All in favor? Carried. Okay, do we have any notice of motions? Any other business? Announcements? Just have one thing. We want to thank Sarah for her time here at Perth East, and tonight is her last meeting, and we want to wish you all the best. Thanks for everything. Okay, we do have a need for a closed session, so we have a motion that the regular meeting of council, the Township of Perth East, be temporarily adjourned at 7:46 p.m. to permit the holding of a meeting in a closed session for the purpose of personal matters of an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting a municipality or a local board. We need a move and a seconder. Moved by Hughes, second by Jerry. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, everyone. Hope you have a Okay, so Council of the Township of Perth East rise from closed session and reconvene to regular session at 9:07 PM. Moved by Bob, second by Hugh, all in favor, carried. That the closed meeting was held and only the closed session items identified were discussed in closed session, and further that council approve the confidential direction given to staff. Moved by Jerry, second by Hugh, all in favor, carried. And that council of the Township of Perth East approve the closed session minutes of March 4, 2025, April 8, 2025, and April 22nd, 2025. Moved by Hugh, second by Jerry, all in favor, carried. And that bylaw 25-2025 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council of the Township of Perth East at its regular meeting held on June 17, 2025, be read a first, second, and third time. Moved by Hugh, second by Bob, all in favor, carried. And the last motion of the night, that the meeting be adjourned at 9:08 PM. Moved by Hugh, second by Andrew, all in favor, carried. Thanks, everyone. Good night.